Hey, what's up everybody? Sony D here, and today I'm going to be covering the last video in this three-part series for Demon Hunters and their role in PvP, their abilities, talents, etc. Today I'm going to be covering DPS rotation as well as the burst rotation for Demon Hunters, how to properly just do sustained damage and how to properly burst your targets. And then later in the video I'll be talking about some rank 1 viable compositions and gladiator viable compositions that you could potentially play on Demon Hunter at level 110 in Legion once the expansion does come out and the season starts. So some things to note about starting off a fight or going into PvP. If you are Master of the Glaive spec, it's always important to keep your target snared with that spell, Master of the Glaive. You have 2 charges, so you can use it on multiple targets, or just make sure you save it to constantly reapply to one target. Once your target is snared, if you're too far away from it, you could certainly fell rush to it. Once you fell rush to your target, you're going to want to acquire as much fury as you can, build up as much fury as you can, and start off your DPS rotation with Blade Dance into I-Beam into Chaos Strike. Now, it's important to prioritize Blade Dance if you are First Blood spec. If you are not First Blood spec, I don't believe Blade Dance is prioritized. I believe you just spam Chaos Strike, I-Beam, and then if there are multiple targets, then you could Blade Dance, because Blade Dance is also somewhat of an AoE ability. But with the spec First Blood, it deals more single target damage, has a lower cooldown, and it costs less fury, so it's important to prioritize. Now, the other option in this talent tree is going to be Fellblade, which is another utility slash mobility talent. It allows you to charge to your target with a 15-yard range, generates 30 fury, and Demon's Bite has a chance to reset the cooldown. So if you spec into Fellblood, you can almost certainly stay on your target a lot more. However, Demon Hunters don't have much of an issue staying on their target with how much mobility they have already with Fell Rush and Vengeful Retreat, because you can get to your target very easily. Now, that was just the typical DPS rotation. To start off a burst rotation, there are a few ways to go about it. If you have Metamorphosis, you're practically going to want to Nemesis on your target. So apply Nemesis, that talent from the level 106 talent tree. Apply Nemesis, and this lasts for a minute. So even if you don't want to burst at the start of it, you don't have to. You could burst when there's only 20 seconds or even 12 seconds left on Nemesis. Now, to properly burst, you don't have to be near your target with Metamorphosis. You could simply leap to your target with Metamorphosis. So here I'm going to pop Metamorphosis, pop Chaos Blades as soon as I land, and then Fury of the Illidari into Death Sweep into Annihilation spam. Now, when you're in Metamorphosis, it's important to, once again, prioritize Blade Dance, aka Death Sweep, and then Annihilation spam. Now, with that, you're going to deal the most amount of damage, and yeah, just burst your target and keep up a lot of damage. That's pretty much what Metamorphosis does. You can also Chaos Nova during Metamorphosis if you didn't land your Metamorphosis stun on the target, because if you do Chaos Nova on the same target that you did Metamorphosis, the stun is going to be halved because of diminishing returns. So your target will only be stunned for 2.5 seconds. Now, you never, ever want to I-Beam during Metamorphosis because it is a loss of DPS. You want to only prioritize I-Beam when you are outside of Metamorphosis. One thing to note about I-Beam, if you're kind of on your target and your target's moving around a lot, I wouldn't suggest using I-Beam. I would suggest just prioritizing Blade Dance and Annihilation or Chaos Strike, because I-Beam is a channeled spell, and although it is ranged, it's kind of easy to get out of, even if your aim is pretty good. So that's one thing to note about I-Beam. And because if you use I-Beam and then your target runs away, you're going to have to just use a Fell Rush just to get back to your target. And that could be somewhat considered a waste if you have to use it later and you just don't have a charge. The burst that you can do every 2 minutes, or every minute for that matter, you can use Fury of the Illidari into a Chaos Nova. So these two pair up very nicely. And you can, for example, I used Metamorphosis and Chaos Blades at the same time. You could use Fury of the Illidari as soon as it comes back up, and then still have Fury of the Illidari for when Chaos Blades and Nemesis comes back up. So I think that would probably be the way to utilize it to its utmost potential in DPS terms. The burst that you can do every 2 minutes, you don't necessarily have to generate a lot of fury, but you just have to generate enough to use Chaos Nova. So once again, just apply Nemesis, Chaos Nova into Chaos Blades, into Fury of the Illidari, into Blade Dance, into Chaos Strike, as well as I-Beam. And now I-Beam does a lot of damage with Chaos Blades and Nemesis up, so it's important to prioritize those for sure. That basically sums up the DPS rotation as well as burst rotation for Demon Hunter. It's not that complicated or that hard, really. It's just a matter of kind of lining up your burst with a stun or lining up your burst with a teammate if you're in arena. It's pretty straightforward. On top of that, one thing that I do want to mention that I suggest most of you get used to or acquainted to would probably be just getting used to the mobility factor that a Demon Hunter has. You could do a lot of cool plays with it, like on Blade's Edge. You could jump off the bridge and then, you know, vengeful retreat back and juke people off of the bridge. You could also just use Fell Rush a lot to get to and from a target, obviously, and then you could also use Vengeful Retreat to get to a target. I mentioned it in my first video. It's quicker to use Vengeful Retreat if I were trying to get to that guy rather than run to him. So that basically sums up everything about Demon Hunter gameplay. Now, I'd like to just do a brief recap on Demon Hunters as a whole, how they're functioning in 3v3 right now, and potential compositions. As far as compositions go, Demon Hunters can play most cleaves. They could play Demon Hunter Warrior, Demon Hunter Rogue, Demon Hunter Windwalker, Demon Hunter Fire Mage, Demon Hunter Shadow Priest. And then for healers, you're obviously going to want to pick just the best healer. Right now, that would be Resto Shaman, and then Holy Paladin, and then Resto Druid. So just whatever healer you have to your disposal, kind of. Now, with that being said, Demon Hunters do lack a bit of survivability and sustain damage right now in the current meta. I don't see them being highly utilized at like tournament level play or very high ladder play. However, I'm sure a few Demon Hunters will make it happen and make that a possibility. However, I don't see that really being a widespread thing. Like, Demon Hunters aren't super overpowered. They have a lot of burst and a lot of mobility, but once again, they're lacking utility, they're lacking survivability to a degree, and then they're going to be lacking sustained damage as well. Now, the meta for Legion seems to be rotated around burst cooldowns, so a lot of classes don't necessarily have great sustain, but at the moment, every other melee class has better sustain than a Demon Hunter, so it's kind of like, well, why would I play Demon Hunter when I could just play a Warrior and deal just as much, if not more burst, as well as more sustain, and give utility through Fear and, you know, Stormbolt or what have you. That's basically the stance, or basically where Demon Hunters are right now in Legion and 3v3. Things are certainly subject to change. PvP tuning is easier. Well, it's now easier than ever before to tune for the developers, because, you know, they could just adjust the templates and, you know, that will be fixed the next day in PvP. Now, don't get discouraged by anything I just said. Demon Hunters are still going to be very viable for rank 1. You just have to master the class. I wouldn't say Demon Hunters have too high of a skill cap, but certainly to get off some of the cool outplay mechanics, it takes a bit of skill. Alright guys, so I hope you guys really enjoyed these past 3 videos. I hope you found them to be of use to you in some way, shape, or form. Be sure to like the video if you like the video. Subscribe to my channel if you like the content I'm putting out. I'll be sure to put out more with these weeks to come, with Legion release right around the corner. There's a lot of content for me to be making, so, you know, you can expect to see some PvP gameplay, some arena gameplay, and some more guides. Might make an enhancement guide as well. And also comment in the comment section below if you have any ideas for compositions that Demon Hunters can play, or maybe different rotations, or just anything for that matter. But yeah, really hope you guys enjoy the videos. I'll be catching you guys next stream or next video. Peace out, guys.